Shalom. Test, mic test. Shalom. Hope everybody can hear me. Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah Hashem Yahushai. This is Ward Ratazak from the city of SICARII, New Jersey, coming with another sit down. And this time we're going to go over Deuteronomy Chapter 7, starting at verse 6, ending at verse 16. So, without further ado, let's begin. This is Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. It says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So this is one of the go-to scriptures that, a lot of, majority of the Hebrew Israelites, we go right to this scripture to prove that the Israelites are above all other nations on the earth, and that God chose the nation of Israel to be above others, to love them, to care for them, to give them the promises, the covenants, and all of the above, the service of the Most High, and all of that. Right? So the Most High God says that we are a holy people. Right? What does it mean to be holy? The word holy in Hebrew is quadash. Quadash means to be set apart. Right? The holy ones, or the saints. In the Hebrew, the saints is kasayad. Right? Which also means holiness. Right? Set apartness. Right? So these people, they're set apart. Right? God didn't choose everybody to be equal on the face of the earth. When you go to Genesis chapter 11, let me see. Genesis 11, when it talks about the Tower of Babel. Right, the Tower of Babel, when you read verse 1, it says, Genesis 11 and verse 1 says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech." Right, so the whole earth, at this time, they was all speaking one language, right? And one speech, of course. And it says, I'm going to go to verse 5, just to get the main points. Verse 5 says, "And Yahawah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built." Now, of course, Yahawah doesn't get off his throne. It's talking about a chariot. The chariots or the angels, they come down, and the messengers of the Most High. Right? And it says, I'm going to go to verse 7. It says, "Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city." Right? So he scattered them abroad, and watch this. It's gonna say this. And so he confounded their languages. That's why you have everybody speaking different languages. So verse 9 says, "Therefore, in the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth." So, with that being said, of course, Babel, which is Babylon, right? Same meaning. They have the basically. It just means it's like baby talk. Like when babies speak, they speak Babel. Blah 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 blah. Right? So Babel, it just means confusion. So that's why it says what it says here when it says he scattered them and confounded their language. Right, that's why it was called the Tower of Babel, right? So it basically just means a state of confusion, right? So back to Deuteronomy 7. So it says, "Thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God." So we're holy, we're set apart unto the Lord thy God. Now, this is talking about the children of Israel. To further prove this, you go to Deuteronomy 1 and 1. It says, "These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel." So that's the point. He spoke all these words unto the Israelites, right? A holy nation, not many nations. He spoke to one nation, right? Of course, eventually through the transatlantic slave trade, and of course us being scattered abroad, we became many nations, right? But those many nations, just like an example would be how Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Well, Manasseh being the elder son, and Ephraim being the younger son. They became two nations, right? They became two different nations. So you have us, like Simeon became a nation. Like you got Dominicans, right? You got Puerto Ricans, you got Haitians, you got Nigerians, right? You got there's many difference, right? All these different nations, but ultimately we go back to one nation. right, with many different tribes, right? And like even when you have like Gad and Reuben, they too were you know, split into different tribes, which they also called nations, right? So the point is that Israel is the chosen nation of the Most High, and it's holy, which means it's set apart, right? We are a set apart people. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people. So we're special, right, unto himself, right? Above, not equal, not below, not the same. It says above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Now, when you go to Deuteronomy 14 and 2, it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a peculiar people. Now, right, the word peculiar means special. It's the same thing, right? Peculiar people unto himself above all nations that are upon the face of the earth. So one said people, this one says nations, right? Meaning because there's many different nations, and Most High God only chose one nation, right? I'm going to go to this real quick. Another precept. I'm going to go into the RSV, right? The cover came off, so I had to write it, right? The RSV. When you go to 1 Peter, or the 2 Peter. No, I think it's 1 Peter. Let's get 1 Peter 2 and 9. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. And the RSV says, but you are a chosen race, right? So it's not talking, so this is talking about race, just to show you that the Most High God is a racist, right? And racist is not a bad thing. Right, there's two differences, prejudice and racist. Prejudice meaning you hate everybody else, right? And which also the Most High God is a prejudice too. You can say he's a racist and a prejudice, right? So and racist meaning because he loves one nation of people only, right? Most High God hates Esau. You know, he hates the Edomites, right? That's really who he really hates. Really, ultimately, is the Edomites, right? But we of course, as a nation of people, the Israelites, we have may have many enemies, right? Everyone that's not a black, Hispanic, so like let me say this better. So-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called natives, right, of the diaspora, right? If you're not a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if you're not an Israelite, the Most High God is not dealing with you, right? So, but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's own people, that you may declare the wonderful deeds of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Once you were no people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. So the Most High God chose us. He gave us mercy, gave us grace, gave us everything, right? Because he promised to Abraham, down to Isaac, and down to Jacob, right? That he was going to choose us, right? That to be the nation that he was going to set up on high, right? To inherit the earth, right? So verse 7 in Deuteronomy 7, it says, Yahawah did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. So we're like the baby, right? We're like we're chosen. We're like the little baby that, that he holds near and dear to him, right? Like near to his bosom, right? That's why it says, he that touches you touches the apple of his eye, right? It's like when people see us, we have to represent the Most High. That's why Yahawah told us that we have to be like the Most High. That's why he said, "Be ye perfect," right? As the Lord our God is perfect, right? So we have to be perfect, and we're commanded to be a perfect people. If we're holy, right? If we're a holy people, that means what? We're set apart of everybody else. If everybody else is doing wickedly, we have to do what? Righteous, right? Verse 8, because Yahawah loved you, right? And because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, right? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? Hath Yahawah brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahawah thy God, he is God. He's our power, right? The faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. So it's like basically a forever thing, that the Most High God's always going to love us forever and ever and ever, right? So Most High God is merciful, and he sworn this to our forefathers, right? And he brought us out with a mighty hand, when it stretched our arm, right? When you go to Exodus 20 and 2, it says, It says, I am the Lord. It says, for I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So the Most High God brought us out of the house of bondage, right? We were under the captivity of Pharaoh in the land of Egypt, right? So, and he swore to keep this covenant, right? And he told that he's gonna have mercy on us and love us, right? So the Most High God only loves us. Whenever you see the Most High God talking about, whenever you see the Bible speaking about love, it's because love is keeping what? The commandments of the Most High. So the Most High gave us the commandments, right? When you go to Psalms, Psalms 147 and verse 19 says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So Barakatah Yahawah, man. Right? So you praise the Lord for this, because the Most High God chose us and he loves us and only us. Right? We're the chosen race of people. That's why we do everything the best. We invented the traffic light. We invented the car. We invented, we did peanut butter, jelly. You know what I'm saying? We do everything the best. Sports-wise, video games, fighting. You know what I'm saying? Everything we do the best, right? At everything, you give us anything, and we're the best cooks, the best rappers, best dancers, best choreographers, best builders, best man, we're the best leaders, man. We're the best at everything, right? Anything you give us, we touch it and it turns into gold, man, right? So and the Most High told us he's gonna keep his covenant with us, right? And we are to keep the covenant of the Most High, but pursuing obviously we broke the covenant. That's why we're under a curse. That's why Most High God is requiring the nation of Israel to gather themselves together, right? All we need is 1/3. We gotta wake up the elect so we can get back to the Father, right? And then come into that bond of the new covenant, right? Verse 10, he repayeth them that hate him to their face, right? So the Most High God, he's a terrible God, right? And of course, when his judgments, when you see what he did to Egypt, right? Pharaoh didn't fear the Lord. He feared the things that the Lord was doing to him, but he didn't fear the Lord, right? And we are to fear the Lord, right? When you go to Psalms, let's get Psalm 9 and verse is this what I need? Psalms 9 and 16. Yahawah is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands, right? So the Lord is known by his judgments which he executeth, right? The Lord is a terrible God. When you go to all right, let's go to Deuteronomy 7 and verse 21. It says, thou shalt be affrighted at them, for the Lord thy God is among you, a mighty God and terrible, right? So the Most High God is a terrible God, right? When it says terrible, of course, the judgments which he executed is terrible, right? When you go to Deuteronomy, let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and verse 39. It says, see now that I am he, there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So the Most High is the one and only one that does all these things. Yes, he sends, he puts the power in people to do these things for him, right? Like the angels, you got demons, you got wicked people that do them. You got the righteous that do his righteousness. Listen, the Most High God is in control of everything, right? Let's go to 1 Samuel 2 and 6. 1 Samuel 2 verse 6. Yahawah killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. Yahawah maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and bringeth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yahawah's, and he had set them set the world upon them. right? He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of Yahawah shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. Yahawah shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. Right? So the Most High does all these things. Right? So let's go back to Deuteronomy 7 and verse 11. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. Right? So we have to do these things. If you want to be successful, you have to keep these commandments, so that way the Most High can bless you. Right? And because why? The Most High is worthy to be praised of all things, right? Of all. Matter of fact, let's get 1 Peter. Again, going to 1 Peter. And we're going to read. All right. No, not this. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 11. To him be the glory and the dominion forever and ever. Right? So the Most High is worthy to be praised, man, forever and ever, man. Right? He is to be glorified, man. He has dominion over all. So you have to praise his holy name, man. There's another one I wanted in 1 Peter. Was it 1 Peter? Yeah. 1 Peter 5 and 7. Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. He cares about you, Israel. Right? The Most High cares about you, and you have to cast your burdens on him. Right? That's why even when Yahawah said, "Come to me, I will give thee rest." Right? And Yahawah said, ask him in my name, and you shall receive it. Right? He's gonna give it to you. Right? You gotta ask. Why you say Yahawah by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Right? You praise the Lord in the name of Yahweh Shai. Right? So, we are to keep these commandments. Right? These commandments, it's not hard to keep. It's literally the doctrine of life is keeping the commandments. If you want life, if you want to enter into life, you have to keep the law. Keep the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. Right? If you seek wisdom, you got to keep the commandments. Right? Because when you go to Deuteronomy 10 and 16, it says, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart and be no more stiff-necked. So we cannot keep being stiff-necked. If you love the Lord that God, stop being stiff-necked and circumcise the foreskin of your heart. Right? When you go to verse 13, it says to keep the commandments of the... No, I'm sorry. Verse 12 says, and now Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. Right? So this is for your good. Right? It's to keep in the sight of the nations, because this is your wisdom. Right? If you want, when people look at you, you're supposed to represent the Most High. When people look at you, they're not supposed to see, oh, this man is satanic. You represent Yahawah, right? By Hashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. So you have to keep these commandments, because why? God chose us to be a special people above all others. We are the special nation. We're a peculiar nation. We are that chosen race of people. That's why everybody want to be like us. They hate us, they ain't us, so they want to be like us. Right? Deuteronomy 7 and 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep them and do them, that Yahawah thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he has sworn unto thy fathers. That's why it's important to keep these commandments. They ain't done away with. Don't listen to that bugged out madness in the Christian church. All they spit out is white supremacy. Right? You have to keep these commandments. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, this is your inheritance in the sight of all the nations. Right? Verse 13. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. Don't you want to multiply? Don't you want to be fruitful? Right? Hey, I'm Ephraim. I have that blessing to be a fruitful bowl. You know what I mean? Hey, kids on the way. You know what I mean? Most High willing, I have many children. Most High willing, man. And I pray whoever's watching this video, you so-called black, Hispanic, and natives, I pray the Most High blesses you with bountiful of children, man. Multiply, you know what I'm saying, and just keep, just, you know what I'm saying, to have as many fruit as possible, man. Keep going. It says, and he will bless the fruit of thy womb, man. See that? He gonna bless you. If you keep these commandments, your womb is gonna be blessed. Or you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native and Seminole Indian women, right? Men and women, you guys are gonna be fruitful if you keep these commandments. Why? Because you are chosen, right? And it says, and of the fruit of thy land, thy corn, thy wine, thine oil, the increase of thy kind, the flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to keep, to give thee, right? So when we get to that promised land, when we get to Israel, right, when we get to to basically our heaven, when we inherit the earth, we're gonna have all this increased abundantly, and that's a huge blessing. That's why all we need to do is keep these commandments. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1, it says, and it shall come to pass, if thou wilt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahawah thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. So, right? So when you read from verse 3 to 14, it tells you all the blessings that we're gonna have, right? That's what we really need. We really want these blessings. If you want the Most High to bless you, you keep these commandments, right? It shouldn't be a burden unto you, right? Let me get that. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna see this in the RSV if it says anything different. Oh, I just skipped it. What is it? 1 John. First John 5 and verse 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not a burden, are not burdensome, right? They're not grievous, they're not burdensome, they're not too hard for thee. They're not hard to do. They're really, I mean, you know, I was going over with my rib, and me and her reading it, and she like, these ain't even hard. I don't know why people be complaining I do these things. They're not hard. I'm like, exactly. I don't know how hard is it to not eat shrimp, crab, and lobster? How hard is it to just give up pork? There's many other meats you can eat. You know what I mean? There's chicken, there's roast beef, there's you know what I'm saying? There's you know, you can have cows, you can have sheep, lamb, goat. I don't understand. Why do you have to go to the damn pig? It doesn't make any sense. Right? When you read Leviticus 11, it tells you the list of foods you can and cannot eat. It's not that hard. I don't get, you know, I just don't get it. You know, the Most High just put a strong delusion on you people. And, you know, that's why the Most High only requires 1/3 of us to wake up. You 2/3, I have no words for the 2/3, man. I just want all I want is for the Most High so that the Most High's love, so that we can seal the elect, we can wake them up, we can get back on top, right? And rule the earth and have peace on earth, man. That's all. That's really what I really would love to see, man. I would love to. I want to live to see the day where, you know, Israel actually gets on top instead of being at the bottom, man. You know, I heard from my people, man. Verse 14, thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you. Nobody's gonna be yo. That's beautiful. Imagine that. Nobody's barren anymore. Anytime. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you want to make children, you're going to have children. Ain't going to be like, oh, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be pregnant or not. I'm going to be barren. Nah, ain't no womb going to be barren no more, man. Y'all going to all have children. By Shema Mashiach Yahweh. That's beautiful, right? Or among your cattle. And Yahawah will take away thee all sicknesses, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. Let's go to Deuteronomy 30 and 7. It says, and Yahawah thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. See that? That's beautiful. When you keep these commandments, All the curses that we went through, the nations are going to go through. All the heathens are going to go through this, right? So we're going to inherit these. We're going to inherit all these nations. We're going to inherit the nations, which is going to read in the next verse. We're going to inherit all these nations, and they're going to bow down to us, and they're going to have to serve us, you know, for what is that, millennial, 1,000-year period, man. You guys are going to have to serve us in slavery. Just as we served you, you're going to serve us, right? And you know, all these curses are gonna come upon thee. And then one of the curses is servitude, right? Is chattel slavery, right? Verse 16. Thou shalt consume all the people which Yahweh thy God shall deliver thee. We gonna consume y'all, man. I'm saying y'all gonna be a spoil unto us, right? Psalms 2 and verse 2. Is it Psalms 2 and 2? I'm getting old, man. Still a young cat. This is GMOs, man. Psalms 2, verse 8, Salakia. Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like the potter's vessel. Right? See that? So we have, and watch this. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. So we have to rejoice, be you know, and be well instructed. Keep the precepts of the Lord, and we're gonna inherit all these nations, man. We're gonna break them in pieces too, man. Just like when you read Revelation 2 and 26, right? Precept upon precept, right? Revelation 2 and verse 26 says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, right? When you go to Matthew 24 and verse 13, it says, he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. It says, to him will I give power over the nations, right? And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I have received of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. See that? We gonna have the inheritance of the earth. We gonna have that morning star that Yahweh Shai is gonna give to us, right? Deuteronomy 7:16 again. Thou shalt consume all the people which Yahweh thy God shall deliver thee. So we're going to be the Most High's battle axe, man. We're going to consume all these nations. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be utterly wasted away, right? And then they're going to do what? They're going to serve us, right? When we get to the king, when we get to the promised land, when you get the, what is that? Where's my GNT Bible? There we go. Isaiah 14, right? My favorite right here. Isaiah 14, and I'm going to read verse 1. It says, and Yahweh will once again be merciful to his people Israel and choose them as his own. He will let them live in their own land again, and foreigners will come and live there with them. So we're gonna consume them. Then we're gonna take these nations. We're gonna possess these nations, right? Many nations will help the people of Israel return to the land which the Lord thy God gave them, and there the nations will serve Israel as slaves. So all the nations are gonna serve Israel as slaves. We're gonna possess y'all. You're gonna be in our inheritance, right? Those who once captured Israel will not be captured by Israel, and the people of Israel will rule over those who once oppressed them. So that's the gospel right there too, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna inherit the glory of the Most High. We're gonna inherit the earth, right? The kingdom of heaven is gonna be ours, right? And it's go back to Deuteronomy 7 and 16. So it says to continue. It says, thine eye shall have no pity upon them. We ain't gonna have no pity upon them. Right now, you may have that. You may have a little bit of pity on them. You may feel sorry for them. You may be like, well, now all white people are bad. No, all Chinese. Listen, all that stuff's gonna end because the Most High gonna give you he's gonna take out that stony heart and give you a heart of flesh. You're gonna be in the new covenant, right? And the Most High gonna give you the thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because he said what? For our thoughts are not his thoughts. Right? And then we're going to have the anger of the Lord. Imagine that. The anger of the Lord. Not your anger. Not my anger. Our anger ain't shit compared to what the Most High's anger is. So when the Most High puts that anger upon us, it's over, man, for these nations. Right? Ain't going to be no more pity. It says, and neither shalt thou serve their gods. We're going to destroy their gods, and we're not going to have their gods no more. Their gods are going to be nothing to us, right? When you go to verse 25, it says, the graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt have no desire thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination unto Yahweh thy power. Right? So we're gonna destroy the nation's gods and all of that, right? Because they ain't nothing but cement and glue and all of that, right? And wood, stones and all of that, right? So verse 16 again, it says, thine eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shall thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. That's going to be a trap unto us, right? So we have to keep these commandments. We're the holy nation of people. Most High God chose us to be that peculiar nation of people. So we are to keep these commandments throughout our generations forever and ever. That's why we wear these fringes. You know what I'm saying? That's why we wear fringes, right? The fringes simply means to keep the commandments. When you go to Numbers 15 and also Deuteronomy 22 and 12, right? We have to keep the commandments. We make fringes upon the borders of our garments. When we look upon them, we have to remember, and not only remember, but do the law, right? We have to keep the law, right? The law is not done away with. You are to keep the law throughout your generations forever and ever, right? Just like this, right? Isaiah 40 and 8 says, the grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our God shall stand forever. The word of our God is what? Also, when you read that in the I believe it was the NET, the New English Translation, it says the decree of our God shall stand forever. A decree, as we read over before in previous video, says that the decree is what? An order, or it's also a commandment. And what is the order that God charged us with? To keep the law. What is the commandment that the Lord told us to do? To be holy and to be separate, to be set apart, to have faith in Yahawah and keep the law. Right? That is what we are supposed to do. So remember, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, y'all are the chosen race of people. You are to keep the commandments and ordinances, precepts of the Lord thy God. Be holy, and that way we can inherit the earth and be set upon high above all other nations, as we are supposed to be. Right? So, hope that was edifying to you. With that, I give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, and I say Shalom.